Good morning, Oasis kids and families. Welcome back. We have another great week. We're going to talk about some more stories from God's stories from the books in the Bible. Today we're going to talk about another story in the Old Testament. But before I get started, do you guys like s'mores? The perfect s'more is a graham cracker with a little melted chocolate and a toasted marshmallow where it's like burnt on the outside and like squishy on the inside. You like those? I like this. So what else you guys like about fall? It's a great time of year. So let's talk some more about God's amazing stories in the Bible and some more amazing people. So we've talked about Moses and we've talked about Jacob and Esau and Joseph. And so now we're going to talk about Joshua. Joshua had some big shoes to fill, didn't he? Moses bringing all the people out of Egypt through that Red Sea parting. So here's Joshua. He's crossing this mountain. He's leaving the desert. And he looks out and he sees this beautiful land. And then all of a sudden he sees this huge wall. And he was probably, uh-oh, now what am I going to do? So what does he do? I'm not going to tell you because you're going to listen to the story. But before we get there, let's everybody stand up on your feet and let's worship because God loves it when we worship. So let's sing and get your dancing shoes on and we'll be back in a second.
This life is a journey, a path made for me. With every step I take, as I run this race, I'm becoming the person you call me to be. A child of God, a life redeemed. So I set my eyes on you, Jesus, I'm ready, and ready to go. Where you lead, I'll follow. Where you lead, I'll go. Not gonna wait for tomorrow. This is the journey of a lifetime. The journey of a lifetime. God, you already know me. I wanna know you. Help me grow stronger and discover the truth. I'm ready, let's go. Where you lead, I'll follow. Where you lead, I'll go. Not gonna wait for tomorrow. This is the journey of a lifetime. With every step I take, with every step I take, I'm becoming the person you call me to be. A child of God, a life redeemed. So I set my eyes on you, Jesus, I'm ready, let's go. Yeah, yeah. I'm ready, let's go. I'm ready, Where you lead, I'll follow. Where you lead, I'll go. Not gonna wait for tomorrow. This is the journey of a lifetime. The journey of a lifetime. The journey of a lifetime. I'm on the journey of a lifetime.
God's story, Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. So part of God's story is about a guy named Joshua, and it goes like this. 40 years after God led his family out of Egypt and through the desert, he chose Joshua to lead them to an amazing home he had promised them called Canaan. Now, Canaan wasn't their home yet. Not really. See, people lived there already, in a big city called Jericho. They had heard how God parted the Red Sea and rained down food from heaven for his family. They had heard how God had led his family with a cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. And they realized that if God wanted his family to move into Canaan, he would do something remarkable to get them there. So they were ready for an epic fight. In the past, that had really scared God's family. But here's the thing. God knew Jericho looked scary for his family. So when it was time to go, he reminded Joshua that he was in control. God said, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Joshua might have felt afraid, but he chose to be strong and courageous. Have you ever done something you know is right, even though you were scared? Anyway, for a while, God's family camped out, waiting to go in, wondering how to get through Jericho's walls. Then one night, Joshua looked up and saw a man standing in front of him. He was holding a sword and looked ready for battle, but Joshua didn't recognize him. He asked, "Are you on our side?" or our enemy's side? The man said, neither. I'm on the Lord's side. At that moment, Joshua realized that it was God appearing as a soldier. He fell on his face and worshiped him. God was definitely with them and would lead the Israelites into Jericho. Well, after that, God told Joshua how to get through Jericho's walls. Here's what he told Joshua to do. March around the city once every day for 6 days. Have 7 priests get trumpets made out of ram's horns and carry them. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times. The priests should blow the trumpets during the march. When they blow a long blast, all the men should shout. Then the walls would fall. Joshua might have wondered how walking and yelling would make walls fall, but he didn't question God. He trusted God, so he obeyed. And guess what? At the last trumpet blast, the walls fell, just like God said they would. God promised not to leave his family, and he didn't. He helped them get through an impossible wall and move into their new and beautiful home. And through Joshua, God would continue to help his family. In fact, Joshua finally became so sure of God's power that he was able to help others to be strong and courageous, just like God had helped him. And that's the story of Joshua. But you want to know the best part? God appeared as a man to show Joshua that he would fight for his family and bring them safely to their new home. Joshua had nothing to fear. And later, Jesus came to earth as a man to fight for us by taking our punishment for sin so that one day we can live with him in a perfect new home, which means we have nothing to fear. Like Joshua, we can be strong and courageous. And that's a part of God's story.
So wow, God gave Joshua a huge task, and that task was to march around a huge wall with just trumpets and sounds and feet. So he might give you some tasks to do, and it may not be anything like taking a building down, but he might want you to do something like apologize to someone or say you're sorry. And sometimes those things are a little hard to do, but you know who's with you? God's with you. And he'll give you the strength and the courage and whatever you need when he tells you to do something. So hey, big idea for today. God will help us overcome our fears. He'll give you the strength to do what you need to do. So if you're worried, you're afraid or nervous, we can turn to God and he'll help us overcome that. Parents, mom, dad, did you guys get an email this week? If you didn't, don't worry. Just go out to kidsloveoasis.com. You'll see some resources that we have for you to share with your kids so you can learn more about God's amazing people and God's stories. See you next week.